Hey everybody, it's that time of year when we all start putting our RVs away for the winter and winterizing them. So I decided to come up tonight. Should have thought about this before, but was hoping to stretch out at least another camping trip this summer or fall. And I decided, since it's going to get really cold this weekend, to come on up and empty the water tanks, clear out all the lines, and put in some RV antifreeze into the tanks. So with that said, I also realized that it's been a while since I've done a walk around, and in all of my walk arounds I've never talked about the 1977 Airstream Argosy 28 Twin and some of the details. As I said, it's a 1977 built by Airstream Argosy. It has a 454 General Motors, or commonly known as Chevrolet Big Block motor, with a turbo Hydromantic 475 transmission, not to be confused with the turbo Hydromantic 400. They are completely different transmissions. The 454 in this one I pulled out a few years ago and started some updates, which I finally finished early this summer, late spring. It's bored and stroked to a 496. Its specifications comes out to about 600 horsepower and 575 foot-pounds of torque. It's a little bit different in that the reason why I did this was I wanted to bring the torque range down to the operating RPM range of the vehicle, which is about 1700 to 3500 RPM, 3500 being about the ideal cruise RPM speed going down the interstate. The results are it's over twice the horsepower it originally had, which was about 255. It's significantly more torque than it originally had, which was 420 foot-pounds at 570 foot-pounds. And I can actually punch the throttle at 35 and throw you back in the seat. But it also gets better gas mileage because the engine is not under as much stress. And it's running more efficiently due to O2 sensors that have been placed in the exhaust to set the air-fuel ratio. Also, this has got the Rochester Quadrajet carburetor, which a lot of people don't like, but it's actually a far more tunable carburetor than any other on the market. I've thought about going to fuel injection, but I've got a friend up in Michigan who's convinced me that this is better, and actually it creates more ability to create power. This summer I also added long tube ceramic Holley headers and a 3-inch dual exhaust. This absolutely increased the horsepower and strength of the motor. As you can hear, possibly it actually runs really well. My son's friends like to call it the Beast. I'll walk around, quit talking, and let you see just a little bit. As you can see, I brought the duals out in front of the rear tires on both sides. That way I didn't have to have it made to go over the axle, and it gave me a better ability to back into inclined areas or declined areas without rubbing the exhaust. This summer I also put new tires all the way around. I had a blowout on one of my early trips this spring of this exact tire out here. It sounded like a cannon going off, and I actually thought I blew my motor. It scared me. It took me a few minutes until I realized, hey, the engine's running just fine, and I seen shredded tires down the interstate. I'll go inside in a moment, but you can see that I'm getting ready to put RV antifreeze in the storage tanks. Now, currently the vehicle's sitting outside. I put it closer to where I typically camp, which is in the Red River Gorge and Cave Run Lake, which is east in Kentucky. This weekend I'll take it back and put it in its permanent indoor storage for the winter. I left it out here the last probably month, sitting outside. And I can still see water coming out, draining out of the water storage tank. I know I probably shouldn't have left it in here all summer, but I did because I always wanted to be ready to go when I wanted to go. And I started camping this summer. Actually, last summer I started going to a lot of campgrounds that were dry, simply because they were in better locations in the Daniel Boone National Forest. I'll walk all around. Here, once again, you can hear the exhaust coming out the driver's side. Now, I know it may sound a little bit loud. It's a little bit throaty and deep. But inside the vehicle, it's completely quiet. Then in here, this is the battery storage box, and the front battery here is a typical starting battery, high amperage starting battery for the motor. And then this battery here is a battery that I built. It's a 230 amp hour Lithium Ion LifePo4 battery, not to be confused with the lithium ion battery in my electric car, but this is a LifePo4 battery. And I also added solar to it this summer, so I've been able to, since I wanted to start dry camping this summer, it gave me the ability to have, with solar and lithium ion batteries, I was out for more than weeks at a time and always had power. Also, I did an extensive amount of work this summer on my Onan Cummins 4000 kW generator, only to end up being a little bit dissatisfied with it. It's loud and obnoxious. And I actually went out and bought a Champion from a friend that I used as a backup for my oxygen generators at home, and I ended up taking it on me to a camping trip, and it actually easily powers the roof air system and everything else when I'm camping. So I actually use the Champion 2000 watt inverter generator more than anything else. Now, of course, because I added the lithium ion batteries, it meant that I had to change the stock univolt converter that this came with in 1977. Those of you that own one of these or any other motorhome that has a battery converter charger built into it, you know that what they do is they put out a constant 14 volts and they cook your coach battery, and you're lucky if your battery will last more than a year or two. I put in a Iota 35 amp charger that's a stage 3 that is capable of charging lead acid. It's also capable of charging AGM batteries, and it has the module in it for charging lithium ion. Works very well. I walked up inside the cabin or coach, and as you can see, I've got the flip out motorized rear camera on the head unit that I put in out. So I use that as a constant rear view mirror as I'm going down the highway. It's also great for backing up. And I wanted to keep my very original looking dashboard, because my dash, when I restored it, it came out very nice. So simply by flipping that switch, the flip out color video monitor goes away. Now this is hooked up to a Bluetooth wireless camera that's sitting on my rear license plate bracket, or right above it, so it's not even noticeable. Driver's compartment area, I do have all the curtains closed. They are paisley. Extensive amount of work done. Having the interior redone. I can't take credit for the interior. I had that done, but I did all the exterior, all the mechanicals and so forth. I wanted to keep the 70s retro look, and I thought this did a very good job of keeping that look. All the interior lighting this last spring and summer was changed to LED lights. They are a much cleaner, bright white light. And I opened one of the shades that sits over the Safari windows, which is an unusual option. So it's more like the old VW Safari microbuses. But what it does is it takes away the ability to have storage cabinets in the front. So, you know, there's a trade-off. You got some cool Safari windows that are unusual, but you lose a lot of upper cabinetry. Kitchen is original. This summer I did change out the faucet, simply because the standard faucet set too low to the sink. You couldn't stick much of anything underneath it to fill it up. Refrigerator, freezer, it's original and it works very well. Furnace is got central forced air, which you can see one of the forced air vents right there. I was going to turn it on. The barrel seats, the fold down pull out table. There is an optional fold out that comes out and carries this area. I kind of went around looking at different pillows. I've got a variety of different pillows that I put out and different throw rugs that I'll put down just to kind of change the look from time to time. As you can kind of see, I've got a lot of avocados and a lot of burnt oranges and browns that are kind of in that 70s retro theme, but I like them. I think they look nice. A little bit of clutter on the kitchen counter as I'm putting things away and cleaning some things up. There is some storage above the kitchen sink. The command center, which lets you see your battery, current battery power, how much is in your water tank, how much is in your auxiliary holding tank. It's empty. It's what I want it to be. How much is in your main holding tank. It's empty, where I want it to be. The amp meter, my LPG tank, as you see, it's full. That's the tank I use for both the furnace, the stove, the oven, and I prefer to run the propane for my refrigerator because it's more efficient. And of course the starting button for the generator, which is right there, and then the panel light, and the water pump that I'm going to turn on because I'm going to run some water through the systems. A little bit of a mess back here. This is a bed, overhead storage. This is a bed that I've got lifted up so that I can expose all the plumbing in the bottom so that I can empty the tanks and so forth. The rear bathroom, bear with me, the rear window in the bathroom, and the rear shower. And that's about the size of it. I hope this answers a lot of questions from people that get online and ask me questions about it, and enjoy. And if you have questions about your Airstream restoration, feel free to reach out to me. Be happy to help you if I can.